Welcome to this session of Port and Harbour Engineering. From today's session, we will be beginning with the last chapter of the subject, last chapter of the syllabus, that is impact analysis. Up till now, we have covered various chapters. We have gone through 7 chapters of this subject of Port and Harbour Engineering, which included some basic information firstly. Then we talked about in detail regarding the various aspects of a harbour, or if we call a port. Then we dealt with the various natural phenomena. We understood about the various maintenance operations which are being carried out. And now in this chapter we shall study about what impact or what effect does a port or a harbour which is being constructed will have on the environment, or it will have on the surrounding. So basically the impact analysis, here we will be talking about the two main aspects, that is one which is related to the cost and next which is related to the environmental impact. So this chapter basically deals with what effect will a port or harbour have after being constructed onto the environment, and it is dealing with a few certain aspects related to the cost, related to the benefits of constructing a port or a harbour. So let's begin. These are the two main components of this chapter. So let's begin with the last chapter of this subject. So the first topic which we are going to study in this chapter, that is the economic evaluation of a port project. Now economy, that is basically a term which deals with the monetary value, it deals with the amount of money. Evaluation is sort of assessing, sort of analyzing the port in terms of the monetary value. So if we talk about a port project, which are the basic analysis, or which are the basic considerations which we have to do in terms of money. So let us see one by one the various points. Now the objective of investment. Investment word we are already aware about. Investment, that is the process of investing, sort of we are keeping a certain amount of money, we are keeping a certain amount for profit which we think that we will have after a certain period or after a certain duration. So if we talk about investment, basically the objective of investment is different for different sectors. Now whenever we talk about the sectors, basically there are two sectors, one is the private sector, one is the public sector. Public sector, which basically deals with the government, semi-government work, and the private sector is for an individual, one's private work. So if we talk about the private sector, the main objective of investment here is to get as much amount of profit as possible. The main purpose of private sector, which is sort of, if we talk about a port, that is when it decides to build a port, a private sector, its only motto is to get as much amount of profit as possible. While if we talk about the public sector, that is related to the government, then its objective is completely different. That is the net social benefit maximization. That is keeping the public in mind, what benefit or what advantages will the public have by construction of that port. That is the objective of the public sector. So basically in these two sectors the objective is completely different. The private sector has the motto of getting the maximum profit, while the public sector is related to getting as much as social benefits to the public as much as possible by constructing the port. Benefit cost method is used to evaluate the investment in many types of public projects and is the accepted measure of desirability for the project. Now if we talk about the benefit cost method, cost we are aware about. Cost means what is the cost of the construction, and benefit means sort of how a certain thing will be helpful, how it will give us return in terms of money. So benefit we are converting in terms of money, that is what all benefits we have got after using a specific facility. That is, here if we are talking about a port, then by constructing a port, which are the various benefits all those benefits are counted, all those benefits are converted into terms of money. So we will have the benefit by the construction of the port, and we already have the cost of construction of the port. So from that we will get the ratio of benefit by cost. That is, if the value of benefit is more, then the ratio will be more than 1, while if cost is more, then value will be less than 1. And generally for the economic justification, the value should always be greater than 1, because if the value is less than 1, then it indicates that the project is sort of 1, which will give us a loss statement. So that is the general method which is used for the evaluation. That is, whenever we are investing some amount, then certainly we want some sort of a return. So for the justification of the investment, as I already told, this ratio should be greater than 1. So there are various methods, but this is the method which is the most prevalent method, one which is being used more, and that is sort of chosen as a measure so to indicate the desirability. That is, how are we supposed to decide that whether a project should be done or not. So for that, the economic justification, economic viability is checked by this benefit by cost method. Government authority is responsible for finding the lowest possible overall cost for transiting of goods through the ports. Transiting, to transit means to make the movement. So the authority sort of keeps an organization, or it prepares a team, it keeps a sort of a department which will carry out the economic evaluation and which will find out the minimum or the lowest overall cost, so that we can get the maximum amount of benefit, and the ratio will be as much more as possible, because lesser will be the cost, more will be the ratio of B by C, that is benefit by cost. So that lowest cost has to be found out for the port and for the movement of the goods which will take place at the specific port. The final users are those who pay for the port services. So if we talk about benefit, that is, if we talk about the how beneficial it will be, how we will be able to gain money. So the people, that is the public, will be using the port services. From that we will be able to gain the amount, and those are the final users through which the government authority will be able to get the return. The user benefits are considered to be a benefit in the benefit by cost method for evaluating a public project. Now, what is meaning of this line? Whatever benefit the user gets by using the port facility, that is included in the benefit portion. So whatever advantage that specific port facility is for the port user, that is considered in the benefit portion. So what benefit he is having, that can be converted into terms of money. That is, say for example, due to the preparation of a port, if my time is reduced, my travel time is reduced, then that is a saving in time. That saving in time can be converted into saving in money by hourly basis. That is, if in 1 hour a certain workman is able to do this much amount of work, then how many hours are saved? We can convert that in terms of money. So basically this is just an example. That is, if by using a port facility my total travel time is reduced, traveling distance is reduced, then ultimately my time will be saved, and saving in time, that is ultimately saving in money as well. So in that way we are converting all the user benefits in terms of money, and we are calculating the total benefit. B by C, that is benefit by cost ratio, is equal to net savings to the users. That is, by using that particular facility, how much saving the user is going to have, that is what will be the total savings in terms of money for the user by using the port facility, and the denominator will be the total cost, that is the owner's net capital cost and the net operating and maintenance cost. Now cost we already know has two bifurcations. One is the net capital cost, that is the construction cost. First of all, we will have to construct a port, so there will be the construction cost, and next will be the maintenance or the operating cost. That is, once the port is constructed, then we will have to carry out certain maintenance work, certain operation work. So that will be the total cost. Cost and benefits are analyzed on an annual basis. That is, year after year we have to find out what are the benefits and what are the costs. Why? Because there might be a possibility that when the port is constructed, in the first year the benefits are very high, but year by year the benefits might be reducing, the operational cost might be increasing. So that will reduce the overall B by C ratio. So year after year the B by C ratio is found out and we sort of get an output, that is what is the changes in the value of benefit and cost, the ratio of benefit by cost yearly, what is the variation we will be able to know, and so we will also be able to know that how much feasible, how much viable the project is. Now let us talk in detail regarding this benefits and cost. So talking about the cost benefit analysis, the benefit by cost method. Main objective is to assess the viability of the proposed project in terms of benefit which are likely as a whole. So the main motto, that is sort of to get to know whether the project is feasible or not. This viability or feasibility, we can say one and the same thing. That is the project worth doing or not? If I explain in one word, then it is the project worth being made or not? So as we already discussed, that benefits which are likely as a whole, that is what all various benefits which are going to get, that have to be accounted for, which leads to the justification of implementation based on the profits to the nation. So how much amount of profit is there, what is the benefit, what are the savings, making the cumulative summation of all those things, we will get a justification, that is whether this project should be done or not. Because if it is not much beneficial, if we are not having much amount of savings, then we will have to think whether this project should be done or not. For evaluation of an investment, comparison of construction and operating cost to the benefit associated with the project are used. So as we have seen in the previous slide, that cost includes the two costs, that is the construction cost and the operating and the maintenance cost, and the numerator includes all the various savings or all the various benefits. So benefit by cost, that is the annual value of benefits. Now what is meaning of annual value of benefits? What all benefits we are having in a full year. That is all the various benefits which we are going to have in a full year, and the annual cost, that is in a particular year, what were the total cost including the construction cost and including the operation or the maintenance cost, and this ratio is found out. Costs are divided into the two categories. Capital cost, that is first main thing, that is the construction. Next is the acquisition. Acquisition means to acquire something, means to gain or get something. So acquisition of the land physically has to be done. So that acquisition cost is also included in the capital cost. Next is the operating and the maintenance cost. Owner's cost for operating and the maintaining facility. That is, there will be various equipments, there will be sort of n number of structures or facilities will be there, which will be continuously requiring the maintenance work. One of the major problems in determining B by C ratio is deciding which item is to be included in the cost and which is included in the benefit. So there will be a certain task, there will be a certain activity which we will be confused whether this has to be constructed in cost or it has to be included in the benefit. So there might be certain activities which will be sort of confusing as to they should be included in benefit or they should be included in cost. So that is sort of a major drawback in this benefit by cost method. Next point are the benefits related to the port development projects. So the direct benefits to the port include direct financial return from ship and cargoes. So the ships which are present at the port and the cargoes which we are handling at the port, the direct return which we will get by providing the facility through the ship or by handling the cargo, that will be a direct benefit to the port, achieved by variety of charges for the use of facility. That is, if I am giving my land, that is I am giving the land for the usage of port, if I am giving a specific ship, specific vessel to be used at the specific harbor or port, then there will be various charges. The charges will be, they can be day by day basis, or if a land is there, then that land has to be acquired temporarily or permanently. So that all charges will sort of give me a certain amount of return. Fees are charged against each ton of cargo that are handled at the port. That is, depending upon the tonnage of the cargo, the fees will be charged. So, a specific rate is fixed, a unit rate is fixed, and depending upon the total tonnage, we will be charging for the specific facility we are providing. Fees are charged for cargo that remain in storage in the terminal area for more than the specified free time period. Free time period means that period or that duration for which a specific cargo can remain at that specific storage place. But if the cargo is staying in the storage area after that duration or after that time, then the fees will be additionally charged. So even that will generate a certain amount of revenue. Also includes the rent and the other charges. Rental charge means if I am giving a certain equipment for a certain duration, certain machinery is given, cranes are given, then on day-to-day basis or whatever the rate has been decided, depending upon that there will be the various rental charges. Rental charges can be for sort of space also, they can be for an ship or vessel also, so that will be charged to the rent amount. Due to increase in the economic activity, additional rental of land is made possible. Now, as the economic activity is greatly increasing, so extra amount of rent for the land can also be charged. Because if we talk about a port or a harbor, then that we need the land which is adjacent to that port or harbor. So specifically, we will need that area, adjacent area or that adjacent space only. So depending upon the economic activity, due to the increase in economic activity through the past certain years, the additional rent or additional charges related to the land acquisition are also possible. Next are the benefits to the port users. So, who are using the specific port facility, what will be the benefits to them? Mainly cost saving benefits arising from the reduced operating expenses and reduced overall inland transport cost. In this point, say for example, if we are talking about the inland transport cost. Now, inland means that transportation which is in the same country, that is, it includes the river or the sea is there, lake is there, which is in a certain territory. Now, if by using a specific port, if my the total distance is reduced, that is, if we talk about the road transportation or the rail or the water, then if say for example, if I am comparing the road and the water transportation, then if due to the water facility, due to the inland transportation, if my total distance is reduced, that is say for example, we have studied about the Ro-Ro ferry. Now Ro-Ro ferry is provided that case where there is a chances that there is a drastic or there is a major reduction in the total distance. So by usage of this port facility, the overall total distance is reduced. So that is sort of saving or that is sort of benefit. That is the total amount of distance it is reduced, and if I am sort of making the movement of any cargo or commodity, then that cargo or commodity will also have to travel lesser distance. That is due to the reduction in the amount of distance, the inland transportation cost will be reduced. And as the total distance is reduced, so the operating expenses will also be that much less. Lesser the distance is, lesser will be the operational cost. Next are the savings which are realized outside the port area and doesn't produce direct revenue to the area. That is those benefits which are not confined to the port itself, but those benefits are available outside the port area. Now, if I give you an example regarding this point, then we can say the saving in time. As I already told you in the previous slide, let's say for example, if by using the port facility, if through this water transportation, if my time is drastically reduced, then that saving of time is outside the port area. If I have to go through a certain destination, I am making journey from one point, I am reaching a certain destination, then this saving in time, saving in overall time, that is realized outside the port area. So we can't tell that it is a direct benefit, it is sort of an indirect benefit, because due to saving in my time, ultimately my money will also be saved. Reduced cost would result in improvement of ports' competitive position and attraction of additional cargo, thereby generating revenue and benefits. Now, if say for example, if we are comparing two ports, if a certain port is providing the various facilities at a lesser cost as compared to the first port, then it will attract more cargo, it will attract more commodities, and so due to that the competition will be generated amongst the various ports, and due to attracting the additional cargo, it will generate more amount of revenue, it will generate more amount of benefit. Next are the intangible benefits. Now, intangible benefits means those which can't be measured in monetary terms. That is, directly they can't be converted into terms of money. Can't be evaluated in the benefit by cost method because directly they are not getting converted in terms of money. So, if we don't have how much amount of money this benefit has, then we can't include it in the benefit by cost method. Port may be constructed for a country to become the self-sufficient and not be dependent on the foreign ports or national defense and security. So say for example, if a port wants to be self-sufficient, if it wants to carry out work on its own, it does not want to be dependent on any other foreign country, then for that, if it is developing a new port, then it has nothing to do with the benefit by cost method. It is an intangible benefit, that is one which is not related to the monetary benefit. And if a port is being constructed for the defense or for the security, then again it is an example of a port which is constructed not for the monetary terms. So it is not included in the D by C ratio. We have discussed about the benefits. Now let us discuss about the cost. So the cost related with the port development projects. So which are the various aspects related to the cost. Cost related with the port projects are mainly the construction cost. So if we talk about the various costs related, that is operating or maintenance or construction or land acquisition, then the main or the major cost is the construction cost. Figure shows the variation of the total cost in the port with the increasing traffic. Now if we talk about this graph, there are various three curves. So one curve, this curve is for the cost of the ship for the time which it has spent in the port. Next, the second curve is for the port cost, and this third curve is the cumulative of both these curves. So this third curve is the total cost in the port. Here the x-axis is the traffic volume, that is what is the volume, how much amount of ship or the cargo are being handled. So cargo ton, that is what is the tonnage of the cargo or the commodity which we are handling at the port. And the y-axis is the cost per ton, that is per unit ton what will be the cost. So let us see what are these three curves and how these curves have been drawn. First, as the traffic volume increases in the port cost decreases. Now this is this curve, this port cost which has been written, that is rupees per ton. So as the traffic volume will increase, the port cost will decrease. Now, say for example, if there are various facilities at a port, there are the various marine terminal facilities for the loading and unloading, there are various storage facilities, there are various communication facilities, but if the traffic volume is less, that is the cargo is less, the ship or the vessel which are visiting the port are less, then at that time the cost will be more because the facilities are very much and the ship which are using those facilities, they are less. So the port cost will be more. But as the volume is increasing, that is as the amount of cargo is increasing, the number of ship or vessel are increasing, then for that specific facility, that is the marine facility or storage facility or communication facility, as the volume increases, as the cargo increases, the number of ship increases, then the cost for the operating of that port will be reduced. So as we can see that this first curve, it is having more value when the volume is less, and as the volume is increasing, this value is getting on reduced. So this is the first curve. Clear? Second point is that the time ship spends at the berth increases with the increasing traffic. That is this second curve. So basic thing here is that as the number of traffic, that is the number of ship or the vessels or the cargo in terms of ton is increasing, the time which the ship will spend at the port will also increase. So So say for example, if we have to handle a cargo or we have to handle the tonnage of only 2 ships, then it will take lesser time. Then say for example the ships are increased to 10, to 50, to 100. So as the tonnage is increasing, as the number of ship is increasing, then with the increasing volume, the total time which the ship will spend at the berth, because as the volume is increasing, so the time which is needed for the ship for berthing will also be increased, because the number of berth facilities are fixed. That is, say for example, if a pier has been designed for handling 4 ships at a specific time, and if there are only 2 ships, then that time it will take lesser time at the port. Then, say for example, if there are 8 ships, then the 4 ships will be occupied, and the remaining 4 ships will have to wait. And again, after the clearance of the first 4 ships, we will bring into harbor the remaining 4 ships. So as the volume will increase, the cargo or tonnage will increase, the time which the ship are spending at the specific harbor or port, that will also increase. So this is the second curve, which is the cost of the ship's time which is being spent in the port. And the third curve, that is the cumulative or the summation of both these curves 1 and 2. So as you can see that first of all it will have a higher value, then it is reducing up to a minimum value, and again that value is increasing. Why? Because if you see this first curve, it has the maximum value when the volume is lower. As the volume is increasing, the value or the curve is getting reduced. And the second curve, it has lower value when it in the beginning, that is when the value of the volume is less, at that time the curve has the lesser value, and as the volume is increasing, the value of the curve is also increasing. So if we make the summation of these two curves, then the value will be more in the beginning and value will be more at the end, and there will be a minimum optimum value somewhere in between or in the midway. So that is the optimum value. So the total cost is minimized at a certain point of the traffic volume. So certain traffic volume will give us the optimum value. So for that volume or for that tonnage of cargo, the cost for operating the port per ton will be minimum. Repeating again, that optimum value which we will get, what is the meaning of that optimum value? For that specific volume, for that specific tonnage of cargo, the cost of operating the port per tonnage will be minimum. So whenever we are finding out the cost, the total cost, then for that this optimum volume has to be decided, because we don't want to have very lesser volume, we don't want to have very higher volume, because that will increase the total cost. So we are calculating an optimum value which will give us the minimum cost per tonnage of the cargo. So that's it for this session. In this session, we have studied about the economic aspect related to the construction of a port. In the next session, we will be studying about the environmental impact of the construction of a port.